Chapter 11, the urinary system, the urinary bladder and the micturition reflex. The urinary bladder is a hollow muscular organ located in the pelvic cavity posterior to the pubic symphysis. It consists of the same tissue layers as the ureters. It is a movable organ held in position by folds of peritoneum. When empty, it resembles a deflated balloon. It assumes the spherical shape when slightly full of urine. As urine volume increases, it becomes pear-shaped and ascends into the abdominal cavity. The interior of the bladder has 3 openings: the 2 openings from the 2 ureters and the single opening to the ureter that will drain the bladder. The smooth triangular region of the bladder outlined by these openings is called the tribone. Bladder infections tend to develop in this region. The bladder wall contains 3 layers of smooth muscle collectively known as the detrusor muscle. At the junction of the urinary bladder and ureter, smooth muscle of the bladder wall forms the internal urinary sphincter, which is under involuntary control. Urine is expelled from the bladder by an act known as micturition, commonly referred to as urination or voiding. This response is caused by a combination of involuntary and voluntary nerve impulses. The average capacity of the bladder is approximately 500 milliliters. When the amount of urine reaches 200 to 400 milliliters, stretch receptors in the bladder wall transmit nerve impulses to the lower portion of the spinal cord. It is these impulses that initiate a conscious desire to expel urine and an unconscious reflex called the micturition reflex. During urination, the detrusor muscle of the bladder contracts, as do the muscles of the pelvic floor and abdominal wall. The external urinary sphincter, formed of skeletal muscle that surrounds the ureter as it leaves the bladder, must relax and urine then leaves the bladder and moves through ureter to the outside. As you can see, this is the anatomy of the urinary bladder in a male. The ureter, male and female positions. The ureter is a small thin-walled tube leading from the floor of the urinary bladder to the outside of the body. It transports urine by peristalsis. Its position in the 2 sexes differs slightly, as does its function. In females, it lies directly posterior to the pubic symphysis and is located in the wall of the vagina in an anterior position just above the vaginal opening. Its length is about 3.8 centimeters (1.5 inches). Its opening to the outside is called the urethral orifice and is located between the clitoris and the vaginal opening. In males, the ureter is 20 centimeters (8 inches) long. Directly below the bladder, it passes vertically through the prostate gland. It then passes through urogenital diaphragm and enters the penis. It opens at the tip of the penis at the urethral orifice. In the male, the ureter has a dual function as part of both the urinary and reproductive systems. It carries urine out of the body and functions as a passageway for semen to be discharged from the body.